On today's episode, the final episode of the year of the John Campea Show podcast, George Clooney and Brad Pitt have a brand new film coming out with Spider-Man director John Watts called Wolves, and we got a release date for it now. Joe Coy, not Cedric the Entertainer and Vilmer, but Joe Coy is actually going to be hosting the upcoming Golden Globe Awards. The shortlist has come out for the best song competitors for the upcoming Oscars. And get out the pitchforks, Jack Black's Peaches did not make the cut. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to review Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Not terrible. We're also going to review the new Rebel Moon. Terrible. That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but hopefully giving you information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or even different than ours. Joining me in studio today is Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Boyko's here.
Hey, what's up?
Chris Carr is, of course, out today. She'll be back in the new year. But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making the show part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. The first part, we're going to talk about those predetermined topics that I listed off. Then in the last part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. For the last time this year, we're going to take your live comments and questions. We've already asked our beloved YouTube channel members to fire in some topics, but if you are watching live right now, you can use the super chat feature in the live chat to fire in some topics, and as long as they're appropriate for us to read on the show, we'll talk about them and discuss them here on the show. All right, guys. Also want to remind you that this show is primarily done as a podcast. And, you can't always be in front of a YouTube video if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show. So go ahead, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcasting app of choice is. Search for the John Campea Show podcast and subscribe to it today. Look at all them 5 stars. And subscribe to that podcast today so it'll be there the next time you need the audio version. All right. With all that down, let's dive into it here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Who doesn't love themselves some George Clooney and Brad Pitt? I always love watching them together in the Ocean's movies or whatever. But we announced some time ago that they're doing a new movie together. And what's really interesting is it's a movie that's being directed by John Watts, the guy who's directed Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, and is now doing the Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew, that we can look forward to. Well, they've got this new movie called Wolves, and now we've got a release date. This comes to us from the folks over at Coming Soon, who write the following. Wolves, which also comes from Apple Original Films, they've been killing it lately, will release in theaters and IMAX on September 20th, 2024. Directed and written by John Watts from Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Homecoming. The upcoming film sees Clooney and Pitt play 2 lone wolf fixers assigned to the same job. Wolves, not wolves, but Wolves, also stars Amy Ryan. I love her, known from The Office and Only Murders in the Building. And of course, she'll be in there with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. Listen, movies generally that I get excited about will be because of premise, what's the story, what kind, what genre is that fitting in. It's not often that the actors in the film are the main reason that I will get excited or really look forward to a movie. But the George Clooney, Brad Pitt pairing is just one of those. And let's face it, both guys are getting older. I don't know how many more years they can do these sorts of things. George Clooney was just recently talking about the fact that they are seriously considering doing another Ocean's movie, which I am totally down for. Make sure you get Matt Damon in there too. Get Don Cheadle back and everybody else. So dying for that. But this is kind of a cool idea. 2 lone wolf fixers assigned to the same job. So there's going to be a little bit of spy versus in there. And of course, look, George Clooney is always hot. I mean, his name is always at the top of any A-list discussion. Brad Pitt, of course, finally won his first Academy Award with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And so, I mean, he's on a total resurgence right now as well. Super great actor, big movie star. So you got them now paired up with a guy that I am really, really interested in seeing what he does in the director's chair from now on. And you know what? I think many directors in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think sometimes don't get the credit they're due because it's Kevin Feige's universe, right? But what John Watts did with those 3 Spider-Man movies, while understanding this, having to have one ear to Marvel and one ear to Sony, and having these 2 giant companies collaborating on it, and what he was able to then come in and do to make movies that can live up to the legacy of those beloved Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and stuff like that. In some people's opinions, even surpass them. I still think Spider-Man 2 is the best live-action Spider-Man movie ever made. I still think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the greatest Spider-Man movie overall ever made. But what John Watts is able to do with these films is great. And to see him pair up with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, I think can be a lot of fun. And now we got a release date, September 20th. And I am damn looking forward to seeing this. I can't wait. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The Golden Globes. The drug addict step uncle nobody in the family likes to talk about, but they show up to Christmas dinner, so you kind of can't ignore them. That is the Golden Globes.
Yeah, we do.
And this year, the Golden Globes have had some struggles. Nobody wants to attend them. They couldn't find anybody to host. I mean, they went through a long list of people, and everybody turned it down. And then finally they settled on Vilmer from That 70s Show and Cedric the Entertainer. No disrespect intended to either of those great gentlemen. Just, that's not exactly who is the top of your dream list to come in and host these awards, right? I mean, they tried to get, I think they tried to get Kevin Hart. That didn't work out. They tried to get Jason Bateman and the other 2 guys who do his podcast. Right. They tried to get Tina Fey and Amy Poehler back again. That would have been great too, but you know, they settled on that, so whatever. Well, I guess somebody changed their minds because yesterday the news came out that Joe Coy, my current favorite comedian in the world at the moment, is going to be hosting the Golden Globe Awards. This comes to us from the folks at Variety who wrote the following. Joe Coy will host the 2024 Golden Globe Awards, marking the comedian's first ever appearance as a host for a major awards show. We are thrilled to have Joe host the 81st Annual Golden Globe Awards and bringing his infectious energy and relatable humor to kick off Hollywood's awards season. We can't wait to see what he has in store for the stars in the room and a global audience, said Golden Globes President Helen Honey in a statement. We know Joe is bringing his A game. All right. Let me say this. Any of you guys who have watched me for any period of time know that my opinion of the Golden Globes is just a little bit higher than a $2 bowl of soup that the guy next to you just pissed in. Not very high. Not a high esteem of the Golden Globes. But
unless there's some people.
Maybe, yeah. Hey, I'm not kink shaming anybody. If that's your thing, that's your thing. You be you, my friend. But I have always conceded that the Golden Globes do put on a good show. They put on a better show than the Oscars. I mean, as an organization, the Hollywood Foreign Press is a total joke. As far as any relevancy goes, the Golden Globe Awards themselves are a complete and utter joke. But they put on a better show than the Oscars do. They put on an infinitely more entertaining show than the Oscars do. Normally, not every time, but normally they do. And I think with them going out and getting a guy like Joe Coy, I think they've pretty much guaranteed they're going to get a great show. Now, listen, if you have not seen, and for the record, I didn't love Joe Coy's latest comedy special. To be honest, I think it's substandard for him. But if you have not seen the Joe Coy Netflix comedy special where he's in Hawaii, where he does the comedy special in Hawaii, I think it's the best comedy special I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's unbelievably hilarious. You should check it out. But at CinemaCon recently, Joe Coy came out on stage and just riffed for about 12 minutes. And then even had some studio people coming out, and he would just riff on them too. I mean, he has, just like the Golden Globes guys said, he has an infectious energy. He's incredibly funny when he's on. Sometimes he's not always on, but when he's on, he has this incredible energy. And I know it's a stereotype for him, but I could listen to him tell stories about his Filipino mom all day.
Yep.
All day.
He's getting that grand stage with the Golden Globes. I'm so proud to see him. I hope he does really well. Even if it's the Golden Globes and, you know, you have your gripes with the Golden Globes, it's still a big stage just in general for him, like on TV, CBS. I believe this is going to be airing on CBS.
Yeah, I think so.
So I really hope he does well and he has a good time and we have a good show. That's all I can say. But I am proud that we got one of us up on stage.
And
even if it's just the Golden Globes.
He ended his statement by saying, Mahal kita.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing that right? Mahal kita?
Yeah. Just got to be a little bit.
Filipino pronunciation.
You just got to be a little bit more confident when you say it. It kind of sounds like you're always questioning the words. But, you know.
Salamat?
Salamat?
Kamusta ka?
You know, it's just letters.
It's
just put
letters.
them together and
That's all
pronounce
it is.
them.
A series of letters put together.
But I'm so happy because no disrespect to what we heard
Cedric and Vilmer
were hosting. I haven't seen Wilmer on TV for years, and so I don't know. But Joe Coy, I think with nothing he could make something out of. You know what I
listen,
mean?
I am now going to watch the Golden Globes.
Me too.
I wasn't going to before, but I will watch them now. I won't care about the results, but I'm going to watch the show.
At CinemaCon, he was just handing out Easter Sunday sweaters, and he had me rolling off my chair. Whatever he was saying, it was just super funny. The crowd work he did there was excellent. The 5 minutes he had there had everyone just like laughing.
In stitches.
Yeah,
In stitches.
It was so good.
But
So
to be fair, I was saying that Hawaiian special that he did is the best comedy thing I've seen in like 5 years. His movie, Easter Sunday, is the worst comedy movie I've seen in maybe a decade.
Yeah, you know what?
It was real bad.
You got to make that paper.
Yeah,
if someone made him that offer,
gotta
it wasn't
make
his
it.
fault.
All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, the Oscars have just put out a number of the short list for a number of the categories that have been coming out, but there is one real big thing missing, and that is the topic of today's Mint Mobile Hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you've got a topic for our show and you'd like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime, 24 hours a day at 951-268-4259. And today's is specifically about a very big glaring omission from one of the Oscar shortlists. Check it out.
Hey guys, it's Dan from Queens, New York. Just wanted to say that I think it's time we take out our pitchforks because the Oscars have just released the shortlist for a couple of different categories, including sound and music. And original song was one of those categories. And guess what was not nominated? Peaches from the Super Mario movie. I honestly thought this was a lock for at least a nomination and possibly even a win. So just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, Dan, thanks a lot for calling that in, man. And this is a category for me that, quite frankly, honestly, I would be totally fine if the Oscars just cut as a category. Honestly. Because, and hear me out. When you're nominating someone who's like best supporting actor, they're literally in the movie for 15, 20, 25, 45 minutes of the film. When you're talking about best director, you're talking about somebody who has his hands on the entire runtime of that film. When you're talking about a cinematographer, you're talking about somebody who has influence over every single frame that she shoots in that movie. Best song? Something that plays for 30 seconds to 90 seconds and then it's gone. And most of the time doesn't even have anything to do with the movie. But I do admit that sometimes the best moments at the Oscars are the best song performances too. But so here's the thing. The Academy Awards released their shortlist for a couple of secondary categories, you know, the best short documentary, best short live action, stuff like that. But amongst those shortlists that they put out was best original song. Here are the shortlist. The nominees will come from this shortlist. It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Dear Alien from Asteroid City, Dance the Night from Barbie, I'm Just Ken from Barbie and What Was I Made For from Barbie. Keep It Movin' from Color Purple, Superpower from Color Purple, The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot. You know what? I really like that movie. I'm glad it's getting a little bit of Oscar love. I don't know what else it could be nominated for, but I'm kind of glad it's getting a little bit of Oscar love. High Life, Meet in the Middle, Catch Me, Can't Catch Me Now. By the way, very good song in that movie. Can't Catch Me Now from the Hunger Games. And Wazazi, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, from Killers of the Flower Moon, Quiet Eyes, Road to Freedom, and Am I Dreaming, which, by the way, is probably, in general, my favorite song on this list. It's a great song from Metro Boomin. Fabulous. I like thump it about at least 4 times a week as I'm driving in my car. I love this song. But Jack Black's Peaches is not on this list. I'm glad to see I'm Just Ken. I'm on the list. But let me make an argument here. And by the way, I want to remind everybody, it is not the whole Academy that puts up the nominations for this category. It's specifically the music branch. Like, musicians are the ones who put forward the shortlist and ultimately the nominees for this category. Just like it's the actors who put forward the actor nominations, directors put forward the director nominations. So this isn't just the Academy in general. This is the people in the music branch. That being said, here's my argument for why I 100% think a song like Peaches should be more considered for something like this than, say, Dear Alien from Asteroid City or whatever. Not only is Peaches an entertaining part of the movie, it is a song, unlike some other songs, that is actually completely integrated into the movie. It is a part of the movie. It is Bowser singing a song about peaches. It is a part of the fabric of the film, not some song. A lot of times we see these nominees for best song, it's just the song they take and throw over the end credits. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that Lady Gaga song at the end of Maverick. Flying in my plane. You know, whatever it was, it's fine. It's a great song. I'm not saying it's not. It's a great song. But it's literally just a song they just bloop and just make it play over the end credits. I love the Rihanna song that they have playing at the end of Black Panther 2. It's a great song, but it has nothing to do with the movie. It's literally, they just took a song and just plopped it over the end credits. And that gets nominated for it again. This is a song that's actually a part of the film. It is a song that elevates the film. I would make the same argument that I'm Just Ken does the same thing. It is an integral part of the movie. It is a part of the fabric of the film, and it's a song that actually elevates the film, unlike a lot of these songs that get nominations. That's just some song, and let's just plop it on the end credits as the credits roll. That has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It is a fun song. It is a delightful song. It's wildly original. It's very creative, and it's actually a functional part of the movie. And so, while I will often defend different Academy branches for deciding not to put something up on a list, like, hey, they know best. Like, the visual effects people decided not to put Oppenheimer on the best visual effects shortlist. You know what? You're the visual effects people. I'll defend their decision not to put it up there. Maybe I would have put it there. Maybe I wouldn't, whatever. That's fine. But I think this one is a glaring omission. And I think for no other reason, because of the nature of the song, it's actually a part of the movie when a lot of the songs over the years are just not. They're just not. So, and I'll tell you what, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that it didn't get this. I really thought that this is something that the Academy voters would have really gravitated towards. Because I had this daydream that at the upcoming Academy Awards, we would see Jack Black and Ryan Gosling on stage at the same time, maybe even having this little bit of a song off between, like a medley of I'm Just Ken and Peaches going back and forth. It would have been brilliant, would have brought the house down. I think everybody would have loved it. And more importantly, I think it would have been deserving. I don't know. So color me surprised. By the way, somebody else, Jonathan brought up a comment here that one of you guys put in a second ago. I'm actually a little bit surprised one or two of the songs from Wonka didn't make it onto the list. Because some of them are really good. Particularly the Oompa Loompa songs. But anyway, that's a side thing. So I don't know, guys. That's just me. I thought Peaches should have been on this list. I think there's a strong argument to be made for it. How do you guys feel about it? Maybe you don't think it deserved to be on the list. Whatever you guys think, jump into the comments and let me know. All right, guys. With that down, we got to talk about and review a couple of movies here. Reviews for movies that are not being super well received, but one I kind of thought was okay and one I kind of didn't. We're going to talk about Aquaman 2 and we're going to talk about Rebel Moon. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Factor and Quip. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Factor. This bustling holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, flavorful meals to fuel you on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all your holiday to-dos. Cross meal prepping off your list this holiday season with Factor. Skip the meal planning, grocery shopping, chopping, prepping, and cleaning up, and get Factor's fresh, never frozen meals delivered to your door. They're ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy. Choose from 35 plus chef-crafted meals every week that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences. Looking for calorie-conscious options over the holidays that don't skimp on the flavor? Try delicious, dietitian-approved, calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. And Factor isn't just for dinner. Count on extra convenience any time of the day with an assortment of 55 plus add-ons to suit various preferences and tastes. So guys, head to factormeals.com/Campea50 and use the code Campea50 to get 50% off. That's code Campea50 at factormeals.com/Campea50 to get 50% off. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Quip. Good health starts with good habits, and Quip makes forming good dental habits easy by delivering all of the oral care essentials that you need to care for your mouth. I've already told you guys about their incredible toothbrush that is now my favorite toothbrush I've ever owned, and their mints and gum are amazing. But now I want to tell you about their water flosser. It hits all the right spots with gentle or deep cleaning pressure at the touch of a button. And don't worry about recharging. The cordless rechargeable battery lasts up to 8 weeks with daily use, no bulky charger or dock or tangled cords. It blasts away up to 99.9% of plaque and popcorn from treated areas with precision thanks to the 360-degree rotating magnetic floss tip that snaps right into place. It's easy to control water flow that leaves you feeling squeaky clean. And the sleek and slim design, it keeps your countertops as clean as your teeth. So guys, if you go to getquip.com/Campea right now, you'll get 20% off any electric toothbrush, mint and gum dispenser, and water flosser. That's 20% off any electric toothbrush, mint and gum dispenser, water flosser at getquip.com/Campea. Spelt GETQUIP.com/Campea. Quip, the good habits company. And thank you to our friends at Factor and Quip for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get down to business here, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
We yesterday was a big viewing day for us because we went to go watch Aquaman 2. Then we all went back to my place to watch Rebel Moon.
You already forgot.
I already forgot. And then we watched the new episode of Monarch. So anyway, let's start with this. Let's start with Aquaman 2. Now look, just to lay some context for my own personal feelings on this, I liked the first Aquaman movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a solid little film, not one of the best video or comic book movies of all time by any stretch, but a worthy little installment of a film, and they went with us for a certain feel of it, and I thought they did it well, and I thought it was an enjoyable film, and I had a good time. So James Wan returning, Jason Momoa returning, I love him. Of course, P. Wills, Patrick Wilson come back to play it. It was with, I don't care about the reviews, because the reviews are bad. I think they're sitting at about 36% right now. Actually, let me just go double check. Yep, 36% right now. But I didn't care, because I thought, you know what? I've got some trepidation here, yes, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad. And I put up an out-of-theater reaction, to which I said, this is a very dumb movie. And it is. It's a very dumb movie. But it's also kind of fun. And
Sounds a lot like Black Adam.
yeah, in a way, yeah. So, because here's the thing. They did something that I think most of us don't like it when a movie like this does, which is opt to go for something really silly, right? Okay. And many times in this movie, they opt to go for something really silly. Fine. But now, one of two things can happen. Either it's something silly that'll make you groan and roll your eyes, like the fifth jealousy joke of Stormbreaker in Thor: Love and Thunder, or Bao, the god of dumplings, right? So you can go really silly and have the results of that silly decision be an eye roll and a groan. Or the results of your silly decision can make you giggle and smile. And what I found for myself watching Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was that more times than not all the time, but more times than not, when they went for the silly out, at least the silly out made me smile or giggle or chuckle a bit and enjoy it and think, okay, that was fun. It's like, yeah, maybe you go to Iron Chef Morimoto's restaurant and maybe one of the courses is just a ham sandwich. All right, you were hoping for better, you were hoping for more. But hey, if you bite into that ham sandwich and it actually tastes good, okay. And I think that's what Aquaman 2 is for a lot of it. It's they had the potential to do something better. And maybe we won't be thrilled with some of the decisions they made of what to give us, but at least more times than not, what they put on the plate and we at least tasted was fun. It was good. So am I running out of the theater and telling everybody, you got to go see Aquaman 2, man? No, I'm not. And everybody who gives this movie a negative review, I totally get it. I really, really do. But yeah, I myself saw, and you know what? Of course, I get a number of the brain dead comments from morons who are like, well, why can't you just pick a side? It's either good or it's bad, Campea. It's like, okay, I get it. You're so simple-minded. It's only either thumb up or thumb down, nothing in between. Go watch something else.
Or they're mad that you didn't say it was stellar.
Well,
So
yeah,
that's their out of like,
that's right.
oh,
People want to
you can't
either
just-
hear me say this is the worst thing ever, or they want to hear me say, no, don't listen to anybody else. This movie's
the
great.
middle
It's
of
like,
the ground.
but
it's
the
like, no.
reality is, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a total waste either. I mean, there's things there to enjoy. Am I going to go out and watch Aquaman 2 again like I am going to go out and watch Wonka again? No, I'm not going to go watch Aquaman 2 again. But I don't regret that I saw it. Had kind of fun. Now, that being said, man, they do some real clunky thing. Without giving any spoilers away, there's this moment in the movie when you got Manta and Aquaman kind of squaring up, and Manta says, your blood will do just fine. And as soon as he said that, I leaned over to Anna and I said, watch, he's about to say, if you want my blood, come and get it. And sure enough, Jason Momoa, you want my blood? Come and get it. It's like, and that's just kind of a microcosm of the whole movie. There is no surprises anywhere in this movie, right? It's like, oh yeah, Orm's gonna, this part's in the trailer, so it's not spoiling anything. Oh yeah, Orm's, he's gonna make it to the water. And then all of a sudden he's gonna burst out of the water with all of his muscles. And yet, sure enough, that's what happens. Yeah, they do that. There's a lot more of Amber Heard in this movie than I thought there was going to be.
They don't show any of her in the trailers. So.
No, they have one shot of her in the trailer.
Yeah.
One shot of her punching against a piece of glass. You would not know how much of this movie Amber Heard is in. I get a kick out of seeing Dolph Lundgren. So I was glad to see Dolph Lundgren as one of the kings back in there as well. I always like Randall Park. I think he's good. But it's like, wait a minute, where did Black Manta get all the money to have his own private army? Never mind. Don't worry about it. It's like, well, wait a minute. If this chemical does this, wouldn't this do this? Don't worry about it. I mean,
it's clown work, baby.
It's
it's clown work.
I mean, I was hoping it would be better. But I believe it absolutely could have been better. There you see they stole the robots from The Incredibles. I believe it could have been better, but not the disaster I was fearing and other people might have been fearing. I've never actually asked you yet, Ray, what you thought about
You
it.
never asked me anything, actually. I just tell you without you wanting to hear.
Well, no, I wanted you to be on the out of theater reaction.
I
You're
know
like,
I
no,
did.
I'm not ready to be on the
I'm
edit because
not,
I don't know
because
yet.
you know what? I had a good time, but a lot of my laughing sometimes was because of it was just cringe, and a lot of
There was some of that. Yep.
and then a lot of my laughing was because this is such a bro movie. Like
It very much is. Yes.
the Arthur Curry that Jason Momoa plays here is a lot more laid back and a lot more Jason Momoa than Arthur Curry.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
from the first one, there was some seriousness in him. This one, it's just all jokes, just having a good time in life. If you could sit through 2 hours of that, of this broness between him and Patrick Wilson, hey, go see it. I'm not going to say pay for it. If you have A-list or something, maybe go check it out. All I know is from what I heard from that crowd, the small crowd we were with,
It was a small crowd.
The kids that were in there were having a ball. So if you want to, get your kids to like have like their eyes on the screen, like be like just the world that they created with all these cool, colorful creatures. Like there's so many on screen sometimes, like different races or different species of fish. I mean, it's great. I mean, your kids are gonna have a good time.
There is a complete Star Wars ripoff scene.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, there's a Max Rebo band. And look, there's a Jabba the... It just,
and some of the CGI looked rough in some parts. It was small parts where you just notice, but you know what? It's the last DCEU movie. I maybe see it. I don't know. I had a good time. I wouldn't see it again either.
Here's some of the things that really did work. Okay, you brought up when Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson are on screen together. It was very, very bro, yes, but it was also compelling to watch. Like I liked seeing the two of them on screen together.
Yeah, there was a struggle.
I also really liked Jason Momoa and Tamora Morrison, his dad. I loved their scenes together as well. Nicole Kidman was kind of wasted in the movie. There really wasn't much important for her to do in the film at all.
Did you feel that it was long a little bit?
Little.
But what
Yeah.
parts would you take out? That was what I was debating in my head. I felt like every part was
Yeah,
kind
I
of
can't
equal.
say without
Yeah.
spoiling. I have a couple of scenes
you
in
do?
mind they could have sliced out of the film. Yeah. But again, look, a lot of people too asked me when it came out, how is it as a conclusion to the DCEU? Well, you got to remember, like, it's not a fair question because when they made the film, they had no idea this was the last film that was going to be in the DCU, right? The DCEU, I should say. So understanding that when they were making this film, they had no idea this was the last film. I think it's unfair to look at it and try to judge it for how did it do as the final installment of the DCU. They had no idea it was going to be. I mean, I knew there was a post-credit scene. There is one post-credit scene. And I knew there was, and I was wondering, do they throw something in here that kind of puts maybe has nothing to do with the movie, but puts a bow on the DCEU as a whole? And no, it's a fun little, a fun little post-credit scene that I liked, but it was nothing to do with putting a wrap on the DCU. It was really just a little post button for this movie, not for the cinematic universe as a whole. So there's that. So overall, I would say this. If you liked the first Aquaman movie, I think there's a decent chance you'll like this one too. If you didn't like the first Aquaman movie, I can't see a universe in which you'll like this one either. Again, for me, it was very close to the middle. I a little bit lean onto I had more enjoyment than I had eye rolling. Let's say that. My number of giggles and laughs outnumbered the number of moans and eye rolling I did. And there's a good amount of both. But if somebody say, like, bottom line, John, should I go see it? I've been thinking about seeing it. Should I go see it? I would say, yeah, go see it. Your mileage may vary. You may or may not like it. But if you've been thinking about seeing it and you wanted to see it, I would say go. I think it's worth the coin toss.
And if Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson weren't in it, I would have a way different opinion. I think
If
I think
Aquaman wasn't in the Aquaman movie?
Yeah, no.
Very
I mean,
different.
these guys are like just entertaining to me.
Right, yeah, I
so
agree.
I put up with the movie. I don't know if that makes it sound better. Or
You know what's funny though? Watching
Sometimes-
it and like Jason Momoa, everybody knows I love Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa clearly wanted just to be more Jason Momoa. He just wanted to be
he
bro,
was
right?
definitely more Jason.
And then
Momoa.
it's funny in a movie like this, watching a guy like Patrick Wilson, who is an actor, try to act in this movie when everybody else is just like, woohoo, Fish Kingdom, and like
100% all the time, baby.
100% all
Every
the time.
time he spoke in the movie, in my head, I said, this guy is going for it right now. Every scene he's in, he's going for it no matter what he's given. Yep.
P. Willie, like
P.
movie,
Willie.
36%. P. Willie rating, 100% all the time. All right.
Oh, boy.
With that down, guys, let's move on and talk about this. The second part of our triple header last night was then to go home. Ray and Ryan stopped and picked up some Chinese food, brought it over, set up a new little bed for our dogs, and then we settled in, popped on Rebel Moon. Again, another movie that was not getting good ratings. Last I checked, it was 24%. But like Aquaman 2, I didn't care. Because I just want to give you a little bit of a scorecard here. I have liked or loved every single Zack Snyder movie except for one. And that was Sucker Punch. 300, loved it. Watchmen, I liked it. Most people love or hate that movie. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Legends of the Guardian, The Owls of Gaul, I really liked that film. Sucker Punch, the one film I didn't like. That's it. Man of Steel, my loyalty forever, one of my favorite comic book movies ever. I love Man of Steel. I will always be that movie's #1 fan. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, I liked it. Justice League, even the theatrical version, I liked. The HBO version, I liked even more. And his most recent film, Army of the Dead, I had a good time at. So I have literally liked or loved every single Zack Snyder movie up till now, except for the one, except for Sucker Punch. Heard some concerning things going into seeing Rebel Moon. Granted, I was not prepared for how bad this movie is.
Oh, man.
I may be a bit of a Zack Snyder fanboy. This is not a good movie. This is a bad film. With some of the most horrendously written dialogue I have ever. And it starts off weak because it starts off with Sofia Boutella, and who doesn't love Sofia Boutella? You see her on a farm, right, with a horse, plowing some ground with this background, right? It visually looks so bad. It looked like she was literally standing on a stage with a big stage backdrop banner behind her, and that was supposed to be outer space behind her.
Well,
and I'm like,
if this was a Wes Anderson film, then you would accept that.
yes, I would totally accept that. But I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't look good. And then, I mean, I knew it was very much influenced by, like, say, Seven Samurai and that sci-fi film Battle Beyond the Stars. I mean, it's just a straight up Battle Beyond the Stars ripoff. It just completely is.
That right there at the beginning, like you said, it didn't bother me when I knew it would be a repeated throughout the whole film, like the backdrop thing.
Right.
Like, so I got used to it. So that didn't bother me as much as it did with you, but I did notice it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of stuff, because you know how we've become more critical of the volume, like the soundstage that a lot of the Marvel and Star Wars shows will use. I thought the volume looked better than a lot of these artificial environments did. So, okay. But I mean, a couple of things I just couldn't get away from. First of all, one of the things I hate about any movie that does this, the bad guys, there's no nuance. There's no nuance. The bad guys are all turn the dial up to 11, the most vile, evil, every single person involved with it. I mean, you saw in the trailers that, you know, she's living in this little farm community, right? Well, the soldiers come. Every single soldier is a rapist. Except for one kid. One kid ends up being an okay guy. But I'm like every single one of them. And there's no nuance to it, right? There's not, well, maybe, no, it's like, hey, you girl, watch this, everybody. Come here, new girl. And now I'm going to deflower her and I'm going to shoot everybody. Like all the bad guys were just pure evil. Tried their best to make the one bad guy, the Jew hunter, Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Basterds. Like they tried so hard to make this one guy the Jew hunter. But all that kind of stuff. But the worst part is some of the most atrocious dialogue. I was telling Jonathan when I came in.
Oh boy.
There's dialogue in this movie that would be fine if you wrote it as a synopsis for somebody to read later.
Yeah, like voiceover.
Yeah. But no, not even in the movie, but you're just reading a synopsis,
Yeah.
right? Like there's this scene where Sophia Botella is sitting around a campfire with a guy. And literally, I'm not kidding you, I timed it this morning. Launches into a 6-minute exposition dump, talking like no people actually talk. Like, remember, she's sitting around a campfire talking to a guy. And it read like you're reading a synopsis. I was born of blood and war, with no love and no tenderness. They made me their machine of death. And like this whole thing is going on. And it's like, I'm reminded of what Harrison Ford said to George Lucas when reading the Star Wars script, when he said, George, you can write this shit, but you can't say it. And I was just like thinking, oh, somebody should have said that to the screenwriters of this movie. You can write that and that'll look fine in the synopsis, but you can't say that shit because nobody talks like that.
At the time this happened, I was like, oh, this guy is trying to get in sweet with Sophia's character. And then when she started doing that speech, I was like, I think he probably just changed his mind. He doesn't want
Just
that.
killed his boner.
Yeah, he just,
Just totally killed his boner.
She
But
did it
it's like
twice.
literally, it's a guys, it is a 6-minute exposition dump. And it's like, it became a
one of
running
them
joke in
earlier.
the room because it's like, so many times in the movie, it's like, okay, it's story time. It's story time where a character stops what they're doing and to tell a story.
Yeah.
And that's fine at the dialogue shot. But then near the end of the movie, there's this little skirmish. I won't give you any of the details or any of the context, but there's this little skirmish between like 20, 30 individuals, like a little skirmish. Jaimon Hansu's one of them. And at the end of the skirmish, Jaimon Hansu's just standing there with 4 of his friends, right? 4 of his friends. Remember, small skirmish, 20, 30 people involved. And Jaimon Hansu launches into this Braveheart speech. This will be sung about in the songs. This will send ripples through the galaxy. For on this day, farmers and blah stood up to the might of the imperium of the blah, blah, blah. And I'm watching like, that's not how this character would talk. That's not how anybody would talk.
It would have been great if like he turned around and everyone had walked away.
Yeah, everybody was sleeping.
The only person that actually talked normal to me in this whole first part was Charlie Hunnam's character. He actually was normal. Like at least I didn't notice anything glaring or like, but everyone had those solo speeches where it's like, I was like, is there a better way to lay out the groundwork of this film, like telling us what's going on and where these people are from, other than this way? Was there any other way they could have done that? I would have even gone for the scrolling Star Wars thing that just explained everything.
Yeah, but now listen. Let me mention a couple of things that I think worked. Standard to a Zack Snyder movie, Zack Snyder does great. He makes a great backdrop, and what I mean by that is the background world building about kind of introducing us to the world in which this story is taking place. Really interesting.
Yeah, I was interested in
right? Like, I think he paints a picture of this is the galaxy that this story is taking place in. And that galaxy, that backdrop, narratively, is really quite interesting. And I think sets the stage of a really good playground to tell a great story with great compelling characters, hopefully with some great dialogue and all that kind of stuff within this sandbox of a world. And I thought that was done very well. I'm very intrigued by the Anthony Hopkins robot. They show the robot a lot in the trailers. The robot's only in about 5 minutes of the movie, at least this one. But I was very intrigued by the background story of what this robot is, what these robots are, and why these robots are the way they are. Very intriguing, very interesting, and actually quite very original. Didn't do anything with it. Maybe they will in the second part. Yeah. Didn't do anything with it. So there was that.
Robert brings up the slow-mo button.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, I gotta mention this. It became a running joke in the room I feel like Zack Snyder was sitting in the room with the editor and they just put one giant button in front of Zack Snyder and it's a big slow-mo button. And like Zack Snyder was just hammering that. If that movie did not have all the slow-mo in it, it would have been about a 35-minute long movie. There is so much slow-mo in this movie.
Yeah,
It's
that was
crazy.
that was pretty funny. But those first two things that you've just mentioned, that were the backdrop and the robot, those two things were the things that kept me watching because I was so interested in finding out the execution of how he did it may not have been that good, but just those two premises right there, the robot and the story of this lady
And the mythology of the royal family, right? With
I
the
wanted to find out
princess
more.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I wanted to find out more.
Great backdrop information that where you could tell something really cool. And before anybody comes at me with, well, John, this is part one. You are still responsible for making each individual movie a complete feeling movie, right? Star Wars was just part one, but they made it feel like a complete movie. Empire was just the middle chapter, but they made it feel like a complete movie. And I got to say this, I now have, I mean, it was going to happen eventually. As long as Zack Snyder keeps making movies, eventually I would have a second Zack Snyder movie that I don't like. But I got to tell you guys, I was really disappointed in this movie. And here's the thing I regret I have to say the most. Because for years, you guys have heard me talk about Sofia Boutella. I really like Sofia Boutella. Every time she's been in a movie, granted, she's always had these small roles, but she's always made the most out of those small roles. And one of the things that I found most fascinating about Rebel Moon is I'm really curious to see, can Sofia Boutella step up and now lead a film? And I think the answer is no. I don't think she has the talent. She hasn't, let me rephrase. I don't think she has refined her talent enough yet to be the lead of a film, because while admittedly she was saddled with some really awful dialogue, a really talented actress, a more experienced or a little bit more of a refined actress could have taken some of that dialogue and elevated it with what they put in with their performance. We've seen Charlize Theron do that. We've seen a lot of actresses be able to do that. And while I still want to see what Sofia Boutella can become, and I hate saying it, but I just feel like I watched this movie and I thought she was not ready to be the lead in a film yet.
I will play devil's advocate here just a little bit. Where she didn't have a long exposition that she had to memorize and say, when she was just like chatting normal with other characters, I mean, it felt good. I mean, it looked good.
It felt pretty monotone to me.
Because I only bring that up because when Jaimon Hansu did his speech, he talked exactly like she talked. I mean, all those speeches were
not
like,
at all. No, he was like raw. It was night and day. I mean, it wasn't great, but they were done very differently.
But wouldn't you put that on the director too, to push the character?
Absolutely,
like
100%.
He would have watched that and been like, oh, that's not good. Like some directors bring out the best in some actors, like from what I've seen. Maybe she has it in her. Maybe, I don't know. Well, it wasn't great. But I'll give her another chance. And also, I had one question for you. Watching this movie, if there really is a director's cut, did you like it enough to watch that?
No.
I would. I did. I liked it enough where I would give that director's cut a watch.
But here's the thing. I would watch the director's cut, but not because I thought it was good enough. I will watch the director's cut because Zack Snyder has said that this 4-hour-long director's cut thing is a completely different movie, he said. He said it's a totally different movie. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch that one, and maybe it'll be better. I mean, look, somebody just asked, did I think it was worse than Sucker Punch? No. I think it's better than Sucker Punch. But I am disappointed because I haven't disliked, when did Sucker Punch come out? Hold on a second. Sucker Punch came out in 2011. I have not disliked a Zack Snyder movie in 12 years. It's been 12 years since I didn't like one of his movies. And unfortunately for me, the streak has been broken. Yeah. Unfortunately.
At least we had some good food, some good ice cream.
You could have had that without the movie, though.
Yeah. Good. And, you know,
It brought us together. It was a reason to bring us together and watch some stuff.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
just look at the bright side. Come on.
And hey, it's got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
That's the second one comes out, I think, in March. Is that what it said at the end, that it comes out in March?
I thought it was longer than that.
It's either March or May.
thought
It was one of the M months, but I think it said at the
I'll
end
look
that
that
it
up
comes
for you.
out in March. People in the live chat, let us know when that second one comes out. Again, I think it's March or May, but
They're saying April.
oh, April?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought for sure it was one of the M months. Okay,
Yeah,
so
April
it was
19th.
after March, before May, so
April
right in the middle.
19th,
Okay, so maybe April 19th. I mean,
2024.
it gets better. Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. Well, we'll see.
Rebel Moon, whatever.
Rebel Moon. That's my poster quote. Rebel Moon. Whatever. It is what it is. But hey, hopefully some of you guys watched it and enjoyed it and had a good time and maybe saw some more diamonds in the rough than I did and maybe thought some of the negative stuff wasn't so negative. I mean, that's the great thing about movies. It all hits us in different ways. And hopefully some of you guys liked it more than I did. All right, guys. With all that down, let's move on to taking your live comments and questions. I'm sure some of you guys have some thoughts about Rebel Moon or Aquaman or whatever, or anything else you guys would like to talk about. But before we get to that stuff, we're going to take another moment and thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Rocket Money and Mint Mobile. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Rocket Money. Do you struggle to save money every month? With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify all those sneaky subscriptions that keep charging you month after month and cancel any you no longer use. For example, did you know that over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about? It's too easy to subscribe to a free trial of something and then completely forget about it once you stop using it. That's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money. I've told you guys before that when I started using Rocket Money, I realized that I was still subscribed to a gym in another city I had moved away from 2 years ago. Also, my music service? Yeah, I found out I was still subscribed to 2 others. How much do you think you're paying a month on subscriptions? Most people think they're paying $80 a month, but they're actually paying closer to $200. That's why I use Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel the ones you don't want with just the press of a button. With over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has helped save its customers on an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. Guys, we want to take a moment to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Give yourself the gift of insane savings this holiday season with Mint Mobile's best wireless deal of the year. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months for free. That's 6 months of premium wireless service for the price of 3. And Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Seriously, I can't think of a better gift than turning an overpriced wireless bill into just $15 a month with Mint Mobile. I've told you guys many times, since switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my mobile service plan with Mint than I was on the previous big carrier who was my provider. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. So again, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and Mint Mobile for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's get over to the important stuff. You guys, what are the things you guys want to talk about? What comments do you have about things we're discussing? Let's get over there right now. Jonathan, what do we got?
Jesse Price is first. I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you so
thank you,
much, man.
brother.
I appreciate that. Yeah, again, want to remind everybody that there will not be any live streams of the John Campea Show next week. We're going to go dark for the holiday week, and Ann and I are going to go up to Canada, but that doesn't mean there won't be any videos. Keep your eyes open. Ann and I will be throwing up some videos while we're there, including my top 10 of the year, my worst 10 of the year, that kind of stuff. I'll be doing that from Canada, but no live shows of the John Campea Show next week. We'll be back New Year's Day. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn says, I hope the song Am I Dreaming plays during the Spider-Verse credits. Gets An Oscar nom. I love that song and it adds to the film. Metro deserves it.
It's just, I mean, look, as far as if you're just looking at a song and what's a great song and not really worried about how does it play a role in the movie or anything like that, it's a great song. Like, I love that song very, very much. Again, if you're going to talk about the Oscars, though, I think a song like I'm Just Ken or a song like Peaches, which is actually a part of the movie, it's a part of the fabric of the film, and it's used in a way to tell the story of the movie. I think those are more deserving of those nods than even a song like Am I Dreaming, which again, I think is just a banger, awesome song. All right, what's next?
We got Christopher Brickner, who says, I'm interested in the director's cut of Rebel Moon, since the rated R version is apparently the real version of the movie.
Which again is idiotic and stupid. Like, this is Netflix. Netflix puts out R-rated movies. It's not like you have to worry about an R rating not in the kiddies can't go. And again, by saying that, oh, well, the director's cut is going to be like the real version of the movie is totally different. It leaves me going, well, then why aren't you just putting all your energy and effort into making the movie as good as it can be? Like you just basically told everybody that, oh yeah, this one's coming out. It's the throwaway one. It's not so good. But the real one is coming. The real one is coming. It's like, why would you do that?
It kind of feels like you bought this action figure and then they're going to release the same one with a bunch of extra accessories, but you already threw away the receipt. It's
Again,
kind of one of those things.
This is Netflix trying to artificially recreate the buzzability of a Snyder cut of Rebel Moon. They were going to let him do whatever it is he wanted to do, but they wanted to double dip, try to artificially recreate the Snyder cut buzz, and I think they're going to suffer for it. I mean, I know I've suffered for it because I had to watch that thing last night. But I mean, hopefully the quote unquote director's cut will be more enjoyable. So hopefully. All right, what's next?
James Wheeler with a $100 super chat.
James Wheeler, Merry Christmas, man. Thank you so much for supporting us on that level, dude. That's incredibly generous of you. Thank you, man. What does James have to say?
He says, hello, everyone. I just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks so much for giving us a wonderful year of shows.
Oh, well, thank you so much, James. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. Although it is weird, Ann and I are traveling on the two weirdest days. We are going to Canada on Christmas Day.
Smart.
And we're coming back on New Year's Eve.
Smarter.
It's like
Smartest.
So, but I'm excited. I get to go home.
Thank you, Jay Wheelie.
Get to see my family. Yeah, really excited about it. And again, man, thank you so much for supporting. And not just for that, but thank you so much for being here all year and being a part of the community. And we appreciate you very much, man. Thanks again. All right, what's next?
Redeemer says, I hope that what they are doing with Rebel Moon and Napoleon doesn't become a trend. It's basically DLC for movies.
100%. I'm glad you brought up the comparison with Napoleon. Well, first of all, when did filmmakers not forget how to make a movie in the runtime of a regular movie? Well, when did filmmakers forget when did they lose the skill to tell their story in 2.5 hours? Like, I don't know when they forgot how to do that, because when I look back in history, the greatest filmmakers of all time were always able to tell their stories within a certain period of time. Like, it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, the version of the movie you're getting is just not really the good one. The good one's the 4.5 hour one. Well,
it's like hoarding. They're like hoarders now. A lot of like they can't figure out what parts to get rid of. They want it all in, so it becomes a longer movie.
But again, a part of the skill, I remember Coppola talked about this. Coppola, who made very long movies too, but Coppola said part of the skill of being a storyteller is the ability to tell it within a certain time frame. Like, that's part of the skill of being a good storyteller. And if you can't tell your story, then maybe the problem's you. Anyway, there's a whole large discussion we could have about that. All right, what's next?
Let's have it.
Lori Howard with a $20 super chat.
Lori.
Pronounce my name, Lori. I just did. No special characters on the tube. My question is, do you think Beyonce made any money on the movie, profit-wise, not comparison?
I honestly don't know. What was the...
Well, it's nearing 40 mil. I can't imagine it cost 40 mil to shoot that.
No, I mean, now it was a bigger project than, say, Taylor Swift's was, because Taylor Swift was literally 2 nights of filming, right? They filmed it during 2 nights in Los Angeles, and then they edited it together. I think the Beyonce one was shot over the course of a couple of months. So it probably cost a little bit more to make.
But not 40 million.
Well, when you take marketing out, and they didn't spend a lot on marketing, and then the theaters cut out of it, I don't know. I think it's close.
Mhm.
I think it's close because if it made 40 million, that means after the theaters cut, they probably have about 28 million. So if they spent 20 to make it and spent 8 to market it, then they broke even. So I don't know. I will say it's probably close. It's probably close. All right, what's next?
Shamrock Vibes says, just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much,
$25
Shamrock.
too.
Oh my gosh, and thank you so much, Shamrock. Appreciate that. I hope you guys have not just a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, but safe holidays, guys. Keep that first and foremost in your minds, please. All right, what's next?
DJ Cosme says, I'd love to see Steve Martin perform which of the Pickwick triplets did it all at the Emmys. I loved it in Only Murders. It's hilarious and catchy. Yeah, but that would be more for, oh yeah, you said the Emmys. I'm thinking the Oscars. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, Steve Martin, God, I mean, he is one of the single greatest entertainers in the world because not only can he act, and he's a great actor. And not only is he incredibly funny, and he's hilarious. But have you ever looked up any of his banjo videos?
Mm-hmm. I've seen him live at the Hollywood Bowl.
He's crazy good.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time
he's a top tier banjo player. I mean,
yeah, he's not just an actor who also happens to pick up and play the banjo. He's a legit top tier banjo player.
Yeah. He can compete with the best of anyone in the Ozarks. He can compete with them.
He's good. He's so fun. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Calvin Severo Pano says, Peaches is a fun song, but like it's catchy. It's a catchy song. The lyrics are meh, not deep or anything. Kind of a joke. Not a Let It Go or See the Line where the sky meets the sea. It calls me.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, it's definitely cheeky.
But look at what it is. First of all, everybody was singing Peaches when they came out of that movie. But the second thing is, it literally is telling the story of the movie. It's basically, instead of a 6-minute exposition dump, it's literally, through the use of a song, it's Bowser revealing what his actual internal motivations are and his feelings towards the world he's in and a particular character he's there with. It's literally a part of the storytelling of the movie. And it's done in a really fun, creative, and entertaining way. Again, if this were the Grammys and we were just basing it on, well, what's the best song divorced from the movie? What's just the best song? Am I Dreaming is probably the best song this year. But this is the Oscars, not the Grammys. And it's supposed to be its contribution to the film. And because of that, I'm not saying I would give it the win, but
No.
I absolutely think it should be in at least the short list for potential nomination.
You know what's funny? I don't know if it's recency bias or not because I'm just kind of keeping up with the chat board here. When we first talked about this, we were very positive about the song. Our chat was like, yes, 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 Peaches. Oh, yeah, this has got to be. Oh, they're so hyped. Yeah, it's going to be at the Oscars live performance. Yeah. Now it's like a 50-50 split of yeah, it's a great song to that song's not very good. It's funny how now over time people are I don't like it.
But I get that too, right? Because if you're talking, it depends on how you're looking at the category.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at songs that, hey, when I get in my car and my phone connects via Bluetooth to the stereo, this is a song I put on as I'm driving. No, Peaches is not one of those songs. But again, this isn't the Grammys. It's the Oscars. It's supposed to be about how it contributes to the movie, right? When we award Best Acting, it's about how does that acting contribute to the movie. And when it's about costume design, it's how does that costuming contribute to the movie. It's all about how does this particular discipline contribute to the film it's in. And I think this song should absolutely be on this list. But again, that's just me.
Just to go back on Lori Howard's comments about the Beyonce film, I looked it up. The production budget was $10 million.
Really?
Estimated
So it was less?
10 to 20 million.
So then
But
you're
the
looking at
market-
10 to 20.
Yeah, but the marketing was 30 million. So if we have 38,
Then it lost money.
Oh, yeah, that lost money.
Yeah,
It's
then
35.
Beyonce. Really? 30 million marketing? I didn't see
30
it
million.
marketing.
I don't
in
know if I
marketing,
believe that.
10.
Who's saying that? Where are you reading that from?
I'm on this. They have stats right here.
What is the site?
The film something.
We'll just go to the top.
Film. The
Oh,
film.
Filmic.
He's
Yeah,
the
I don't
only one who
know. I
actually
don't
has
know where they're
stats
getting
that
those
are on there.
numbers.
But let's say we go by him. it's not.
Well, let's put it this way:
Yeah.
I'm not confident they did, but if they spent 30 million in marketing and they spent 10 to 20 in production, then then it lost a lot of money. Then the movie lost a lot of money. But again, I'm a little suspicious of those numbers, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
Also, I wonder if it like hurt it opening so close after the Taylor thing. Like, give it some time because everyone went, and it's like another concert movie. You know, maybe give it some time.
But
maybe
the argument could be made the other way, right?
Because
that
the heat.
You want
Yeah.
to take advantage of the momentum of it,
Yeah.
of the heat, right? So I don't know, maybe. Yeah. But again, listen, I said when the Taylor Swift thing was happening and everybody was saying, "Oh, this is what they should do now. The musical artists should all put out their concert videos." And I said at the time, and everybody thought I was crazy, but I said, "But there's really only one Taylor Swift right now." And I said, if there's anybody who might come close, it would be Beyonce. But even Beyonce wouldn't necessarily do it. And, you know, I think Beyonce's literally made 5 times less at the box office, maybe 6 times less than the Taylor Swift one did. And listen, I think Beyonce is better than Taylor Swift, but I mean, this isn't a surprise.
And it was worth a shot. You know what I mean?
Absolutely
You
worth
never
a shot. 100%. All right, what's next?
Jay Loco says, "How was Aquaman's son delivered? C-section, mic drop."
You know what? That wasn't bad.
Christmas, baby. That was one of the good presents we got.
That wasn't bad. That was actually a pretty good one. That was a pretty good one. A C section. I get it.
It's kind of a disturbing joke, but okay.
All right, what's next?
Elksvin says, "Today's Reacher episode was excellent. I love the story so far, and the characters are so much fun to watch. And best of all, it's actually really well written. One of the best shows airing right now."
I have not seen episode 4 yet. I've saw the first 3 episodes. I haven't seen the newest one yet. Had a choice. Look, by the time we finished watching Monarch, it was already like 11 o'clock last night. By the time we got through the day, so I haven't had a chance to watch a new episode of Reacher. But I'm looking forward to. I'm not liking this season quite as much as last season, but I still very much enjoyed the first 3 episodes, and I can't wait to see where it goes. All right, what's next?
Connor Lauren Wagner says, "Did any of you watch What If last night? It keeps on proving that it's the best MCU thing since Endgame. Thoughts?"
I don't think What If is very good. I think it's all right.
I didn't even know it was out. I'll watch it.
I didn't either.
I will watch it.
Like, I'll watch the new one too, but like the first season of What If was very, very hit and miss, right? Like they had the zombie episode, which is pretty killer, the Dark Doctor Strange episode, which was really good. But then they also had like the Thor episode, and then they had it was very, very hit and miss. I don't think it's all that good, to be honest.
It's weird to me because this is one of the only series where if I watch the first 5 minutes and I'm not into the premise, I could turn it off. I know it's just a 30-minute episode, but it's just one of those things where if I like the subject matter, I'll watch it through, and I enjoyed all the episodes that I did watch from the first season just by going by it that way.
And you're not alone. Like I think there's a good amount of people that really enjoyed the first season. I wish I was one of them. Again, a couple of the episodes really fun, but there was just too many of them that also I thought were just kind of eh. Anyway, well, I'll check out the new one. Yeah. I don't have high hopes for it.
They dropped it all, right? They dropped it all.
No, I think they dropped one a day.
Yeah, it's one a day.
So like they dropped one yesterday. I think they're dropping another one today, and then another one tomorrow.
I'll wait on that then.
Yeah.
You can wait a week and binge it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Talkie says, "I saw Watchmen recently. I liked it too, but to me it was obvious that Snyder bit more than he could chew. The material was too complex for him."
Okay, but Taki, to be fair to Zack Snyder on this, for years, many people felt that was unshootable. Like a lot of people felt building out. I remember once John Schnepp and Robert Meyer Burnett and I had a discussion about this, that for a long time, people just thought you can't make Watchmen into a movie, that there's just no way to do it right. So I would propose that I think unless your last name was Scorsese or Spielberg, I think most filmmakers are biting off more than they can chew when they take on The Watchmen. And while I didn't love The Watchmen, the Zack Snyder movie version, I don't know that you could have done it much better. I applaud Zack Snyder for swinging big for the fences to take on a movie I think a lot of directors wouldn't have been willing to try. And for a comic book piece of property that a lot of people considered unshootable, even though I didn't love the movie, I think you got to go, man, I think he did about as good as you could have done with it.
I still have to finish that movie. I think I'm probably ready now because I remember watching that film. I've watched like maybe the first hour or 45 minutes. And I think at the time, I think it was too adult for me. Like, I mean, as in the
And it was very adult, yeah.
in the superhero, like, because in the genre, and then I paused it and I did something and then I just never went back to it. I think I wasn't ready to have a superhero.
Murder, rape, politics.
No, that part.
Like
that
so
second
much
part.
of it, yeah.
That second part is always a hard watch for me. So, like, I had to pause it and then I never went back to it. I'll go back to it.
All right, what's next?
AM says, sad that Zach, who usually nails the visuals, didn't even deliver on that this time.
Well, I mean, okay. People get mad at me when I say this, but I don't give a shit. Sometimes certain things will be outside of the director's control. And I've even had Seth Rogen get mad at me for saying this, and fine, whatever. I don't care. I think as a director, there are things you say that you want, but sometimes as a director, you are also limited by your time, you're limited by your budget, and you're limited by those you're working with, right? Like if you have a bad performer in a movie, you can't blame in its entirety the bad performance on the director. The director probably did the best they could have, and they just had an actor who couldn't deliver as well. So I don't know if it all, because frankly, I don't know what the budget on this
166 million for both movies.
So 80 million per movie.
I believe. Let me double check that. That's what I...
Because while I complained about some of the visuals, and I think I'm rightfully complaining about some of the visuals in Rebel Moon, some of the visuals looked really good.
Yeah.
And you know what? I should have pointed that out earlier too. So at some point you have time and you have budget. And sometimes I think as a director, just like other things, whether it's the costuming or whatever, you work with the people, you do the best you can with it. And then sometimes you just have to take what you've got. And so I don't know how much of that is to blame on Zack Snyder. I really don't. I just want to be fair that that may have been one of those things that might have been outside of his control. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was, but yeah, I give him a little bit of a pass on that. All right, what's next?
Future Millionaire says, happy holidays, guys. Have fun, be safe.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Future
you.
Millionaire. Yourself as well, my friend. All right, what's next?
And then Martial Arts Film Freak says, Rebel Moon has... Oh, just bumped on me. Rebel Moon has some of the worst action of the year, slow-mo filled, uncoordinated schlock. How did he go from the BVS warehouse fight to this tragedy?
First of all, I can wax poetic all day about Batman on that warehouse roof fight, man. That is one of the best fights in comic book movie history. That is just like a beautiful symphony of violence. I love that the brutality of Ben Affleck's Batman fully on display. You know what? While slow-mo definitely killed the excitement factor of a lot of the action in the film. I don't disagree with you about that. I will defend it a little bit that I actually thought some of the fight choreography was pretty good.
Yeah, I did too.
I thought, and I certainly think, I may not feel that Sofia Boutella is ready to lead a film yet, but man, I don't think there's any denying her physicality.
Yeah, you believe
Like,
that all.
I thought that part wasn't so bad. Again, many times it was killed by the use of slow-mo, but yeah, I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you on this a little bit. I thought some of the action was pretty good.
Like me and Ryan had like this conversation about Rebel Moon, about the budget, and then he pointed out, oh look, the creator took 80 million was the budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is it fair to say that because they pitched Rebel Moon to Disney and Disney rejected it, right? From what I'm reading on screen, right?
I have no idea.
Would that have anything to do with the access they have to better production, like
Better
the volume,
facilities, better people, better.
Same thing with the Batman warehouse scene. Would it be safe to say that they had access to better resources?
I don't know. I don't think anybody can say that Netflix doesn't have good access to top level stuff. I think Netflix does have access to top level stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, but
I'm just a regular person thinking like maybe that might be.
I don't think you can point because, like, the creator, the reason we all talk about the creator is because that's an exception to the rule, right? It's like, oh my God, look at what they did visually in the creator. Well, that is the super the exceptions. Like most movies can't do that. So, and whereas I think there was also a more limited number of shots at some points. But listen, yeah, what they did in The Creator was amazing.
Did that make the short list? Do we remember if that made the VFX?
For visual effects?
Yeah.
I think it did.
Because there's some scenes in that movie that still play in my head. I may have forgotten about the movie.
Yes, The Creator made the short list. The short list for the visual effects are The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
good.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Mission Impossible, Napoleon, Poor Things. I still haven't seen Poor Things yet. Rebel Moon, Society of the Snow, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's the short list for best visual effects. But The Creator was definitely on there. I don't think it'll win, but it's on there.
Yeah,
I think it'll get nominated too.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Nick DiTomaso with a almost $15 super chat. Hey, John and crew, fellow Hamilton, Ontario Italian here.
Nice.
Been watching since the very beginning of the AMC days.
You know what? I wonder if you're related. I actually had a teacher once named DiTomaso.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if there's any relation there in Hamilton, Ontario. Anyway, by all means, please continue.
World.
Yeah, I've been watching since the beginning of the AMC days. Curious, what are your favorite original solo films? Mine are Shawshank, Goodfellas, and The Usual Suspects.
What films?
Well,
Goodfellas,
probably
Usual
like
Suspects.
non-franchise films.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, like on my top 10 all-time favorite movies list, Shawshank ranks very, very high on my all-time. That, I mean, I guess The Godfather doesn't count because it's part of a franchise. But yeah, I would have to say definitively it's Shawshank Redemption. I think it is simply one of the greatest movies ever made. It's just that good. And it's such, listen, all due respect to the great Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump. But Shawshank Redemption on every major list out there, when you talk about all the top lists of the all-time greatest films, Shawshank always ranks higher, and it should. And it should have won Best Picture that year. By the way, also the same year that Pulp Fiction came out. So that was a real race, man, for Best Picture. But Shawshank, I think, is simply one of the greatest motion pictures of all time. I love it. And I can't wait to come back to Hamilton. Going to be there soon. All right, what's next?
Damaris Love says the speech from Sophia made my attraction to her soft. I said, I'm done. Don't need another sucker punch.
Yeah, what you know.
I was born of blood and war
Oh my
with
God.
no tenderness
Soft.
and no love. And it's like, not only, and again, cut her a little bit of slack because the dialogue she was given, again, Harrison Ford to George Lucas, man. George, you can write this shit, but you can't say it. It just, yeah, it.
I just feel sorry for the old man she did that to. When he was just trying to go to bed, he was like, you should get some dinner or something like that. And then she goes into her
She goes into this big soliloquy.
And I was
like, what's happening? What is going on?
I kept hearing in the background the old man going,
All right, what's next?
Matt W. says, with the DCU over now, any plans on doing a video discussing the legacy and effect on the genre?
No. I think the DCU and its shortcomings, despite the fact that I liked most of the films in the DCU, all of them actually, except for two, I think we've talked enough about the DCU over the years. And we've also talked about where did the DCU go wrong ad nauseum. I don't think any specific video about it is necessary, to be honest with you. But that's just me.
I appreciate that effort. They try to take it in a different angle that we're not used to, starting with Man of Steel. I was along for the ride with you the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what?
Again,
Appreciate that effort. It's
and you know, but one thing is interesting, and this would make for an interesting conversation sometime. I wonder what our general perception of the DCEU would have been and would be if all the movies are exactly the same, but it wasn't coming out at the same time that the MCU was going on this incredible decade-plus long hot streak of putting out all these killer movies with massive box office success and massive audience response and massive critic response. Like, if the MCU wasn't there, how would we look at the DCEU as it was? And I wonder if we might perceive it a little bit differently. I'm not saying we would. I'm just saying I wonder. I think it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that would be. All right. What's next?
I think, let me just check real quick. Yes, so we're going over to our members now. Red One Real Talk. I really wanted Aquaman to be good, but I fell asleep when he finally got to P. Willie. By that point, my friends were ready to leave. This might be the first comic book film I walked out of. I was also alarmed by seeing only 5 other people in the 7 p.m. screening there. Haven't seen that since Shazam 2.
Yeah,
Yikes.
Ray pointed out earlier that when we were in our theater, our mostly empty theater, so they projected 40 million opening weekend, which is less than what the Marvels made opening weekend. Again, all we had was our theater, so I don't know. Maybe all the other theaters are selling out, but I won't be surprised if this thing makes under 40 million opening weekend.
I'm not gonna lie, John. There's maybe once or 2 times during that film where I glanced, like looked to my left, just to see how you're reacting, because a part of me felt like we might walk out at times during certain scenes. I was like, John may want to walk out of this film, so I'm not gonna.
No, I hung in there.
I'm not gonna
with it.
sugarcoat it and say this film was the best, but I was smiling like most of the time. I mean, I just like the actors a lot. I mean, and that kept me there. So.
Again, when you make a bad decision and go silly, 2 things can still happen. Either it's groaning eye roll silly, or it made you chuckle silly. And more times than not, for me, it was the make me chuckle silly part. So, but that will be different with everybody. Again, that's why all the people who are bashing on the movie and giving it negative reviews, I'm not going to argue with you because I get it. I totally get it. Because if half of those things that hit me okay hit me a little bit differently, I would have been right there with you. So I totally get all the negativity towards it, but I had an okay time.
Yeah, and go see Wonka, please, if you have.
But go see Wonka. I mean, that's the look. If you got a choice to stay at home and watch Rebel Moon, or go and see Aquaman 2, or go see Wonka because it's a legit, really good movie. All right, what's next?
We got Yo Tej, who writes, don't think I've heard anyone ask this yet. Who's playing the electric guitar on the JCS intro? Low-key shreds.
Oh, it is a licensed stock music. I've answered that question before. It is literally licensed stocked music. I've had somebody once write to me, John, I was watching this TV show on PBS and they totally stole your intro music. No, they probably just licensed the same music I did.
You know what blew my mind one day when I was watching a top 10 on SportsCenter, and one of the highlights started playing the Ultimate Warrior theme? That's when the whole licensing theme, I was like, oh my God, it's just not the Ultimate Warriors theme. It's everyone.
It's actually Eddie Munson. They hired Eddie Munson.
But you know what?
Ric Flair's
He's playing from the
I have been
down.
thinking about, because I mean, not everybody knows, I'm a musician. I have been thinking about composing my own intro to use on the John Campea Show.
You said it now. You
Yeah,
can't take it back.
maybe I'll do that in the new year.
Mark it, everyone. Mark it for playback.
All right, what's next?
We've got CJ Rebirth, who says, had fun watching Aquaman 2, even though I think the first one was better. The highlights were Momoa, Pat Wilson, I think you mean P. Willie, and Randall
Willie,
Park's
right.
character.
I'm in agreement with all that. I thought it was okay. I think the first one was better. And those 3 were definitely highlights. Yeah, I agree with everything you said, man. All right, what's next?
Zelda Master says, not a question, but just wanted to thank you all for everything you do and hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. And as Eddie Murphy says, Merry New Year.
Thank you so much. And to everybody has been hanging out with us all year for this year of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys very much. And may you also have a Merry New Year. All right, what's next?
George Harris says, what do you think of Kurt and Wyatt Russell wanting to work on the Last Starfighter together?
First of all, I don't know if that's true.
Is there a Last Starfighter? Because we've been asking for that for a long time.
Yeah, listen, there have been reports of The Last Starfighter is coming for literally 10 years.
All right.
Like, I remember in the AMC days covering stories that, the so-and-so creators saying they're going to do another Last Starfighter. Listen, there's no movie I am dying to see a reboot of. It is my number 1 film on my list that should be rebooted. A reboot of The Last Starfighter would be a great modern retelling. It is more relevant today than it was when it came out. When you look at the theme of the movie, it's far more relevant today than when it came out. And it would definitely benefit from modern visual effects and technology than original. It is the poster child for a movie that should be rebooted. So I have not seen Kurt and Wyatt Russell say that they want to do it. Maybe there's rumors out there, but I would obviously be completely down for it because they should make another The Last Starfighter. They should totally reboot that movie. All right, what's next?
We got Mighty Tank, who says, Merry Christmas, TJCS crew. Enjoy your trip home, John.
Thanks so much, Mighty Tank. Appreciate that, man.
And then Eric Blake, again, do you guys have to go to Christmas movie or special that you try to watch every year? A go-to Christmas movie?
Alistair's Christmas Carol every year. And honestly, since last year, the Guardians of the Galaxy The Holiday Special is my favorite Christmas special now. And Ann and I have already watched it. Well, Ann's already watched it about 8 times this Christmas. she like every other day she has, when I come home, she's got it popped on TV. But I will probably from now until forever, I will probably always watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I love it that much. It's my favorite holiday special.
The one for sure I'm going to watch this Christmas is, because I have to finish it, is the Batman one on Amazon.
Batman.
Yeah. I started the first 15 minutes. It was 1:30 a.m. I fell asleep, but I was okay with what I was seeing so far. It seemed like a very charming, cute movie. So I'm going to watch that.
All right. What's next?
Baylor Girl says, hi guys, regarding Reacher, can you explain how do 50% more people watch the second season of a show? Do they not watch the first season? Or is this creative math to include those watching both seasons during this time frame? Well, it's 50% more. So
more people watched it this time around. Also, remember, they measure it in terms of like windows as well.
Yeah, time frames.
In terms of windows, but like more people watched season 2 than had watched the entirety of season 1. I think that just basically is telling us that within a certain window it did that. But I mean, it could also just mean that a lot of people are just jumping on with season 2 and didn't go back and watch season 1.
Right.
So
because it happens with movies and sequels all the time, right?
It does happen with movies and sequels, yeah.
That's why they make sequels, because they think the word of mouth from the first movie will get bigger numbers for the sequel.
But I mean, with movies, you'd think that people would go back and watch the original one before.
Not me.
But not you. Not you. All right, what's next?
Star Wars, baby.
Tyler Gibson says, hey guys, Merry Christmas. Thanks for all for getting me through work by me being in my ear all year. Hopefully we didn't get you in trouble or anything.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, what's next?
Jumping Jiminy Cricket says, hey, John and crew, just rewatched Jurassic World last night with my family who had never seen it or any Jurassic Park movie.
Ooh.
They really loved it, and they had a great time. I always forget just how entertaining that movie is.
I like the Jurassic World movies.
I do too.
It, just like Jurassic Park was the best of the parks, Jurassic World was the best of the world. To me, the first one of each of those franchises, but I still think Park is the best of all of them.
I mean, yeah, none of the Jurassic movies ever lived up to the original first Jurassic Park.
But that was Spielberg, so,
But I gotta say, man, when I was at the Game Awards this year, they dropped a trailer for a game, and it was clear it was a Jurassic Park game. It's like, okay, a Jurassic Park game, whatever. But the premise of the game is, it goes back to the original movie, the ending of the original movie when everybody gets off the island. What happens if then they realize this one staff person got left behind on the island?
He's dead.
Oh.
And
do you play as that person?
And you play as that person trying to survive once the characters from the movie left the island.
That sounds
and
awesome.
You got left behind. I'm like, that is, I didn't care about the idea of another Jurassic Park game, but like all of a sudden when I saw the premise, I'm like, okay, I'm interested in that. Because if you can stumble across Newman's body out in the wilderness, because Newman tried to get away with the shaving foam.
I'm surprised I never heard about this, because I've played or been playing the Jurassic Park game right now, where you actually try to create your own park and try to handle the T-Rexes. This sounds really bad, but I love putting the animals right there and not having a place for them to run, and then setting that T-Rex down and just watching him go to ham.
You're so sadistic.
No, cartoon wise, but when you watch real things on YouTube, I'm so against it. I'm like, gross. When you have the leopard chasing the
gazelle.
I was like, turn that off, John. I can't listen to those animals screaming. But in video game wise,
yeah,
I'm all for it, baby. I'm all for it, baby.
But yeah, this game sounds really neat to me. All right. Last question of the day. What's next?
Godzilla 2000 says, last night's episode of Monarch definitely set up Godzilla versus Kong. I almost said Kang. And a certain someone in that movie. I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it did.
Monarch is a show you can watch if you've never watched any of the Godzilla King Kong movies. You can. But like last night's episode, there was definitely a company name drop that you'd only know if you saw Godzilla versus Kong. But it is neat how they tied that in. So I don't think this movie is too far before the events of Godzilla versus Kong for Monarch to end with Godzilla versus Kong, right? I think it's something else. I don't know that for sure, but I think it's something else. And I really did like last night's episode. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's and this year's 2023's installments of the John Campea Show podcast. Guys, thank you for being with us for another year. It's been incredible. Ann and I talked this morning about that when I told her that, oh yeah, today's the last live show that we're doing for the year, because next Monday is going to be January 1st, and so it's going to be the new year when we come back. But Ann and I talked about, when Ann and I sat down, we had dinner at BJ's restaurant, and I told her, I think I'm going to quit my job, and I think I'm going to do just my own YouTube channel by myself full time. Hopefully I can make like $200 a month. And yet here we are at the end of another year. And thank you guys for being here with us and making the community what it is. And cannot wait. And don't forget, while there will not be any live shows next week, there are going to be videos that we will be dropping, including a best of, worst of, some vlogs of me and Ann running around Canada. So looking forward to doing that. And cannot wait to come back, not this coming, but next Monday on New Year's Day. I know some of you will probably be a little bit hungover. That's okay. A little bit of soothing movie talk to bring you back to life. And we'll see you guys then. So until then, my friends, I want to thank the guys in the room with me. Of course, Ray Ora.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everyone. Eat something that you have never eaten before. Just a favor I asked that's really good, and let me know about it.
He just said that because he watched Aquaman 2 with somebody eating something they had never eaten before.
Yeah.
And of course, Jonathan Voico.
All right. Well, nothing that, entertaining, but be safe, guys. See ya.
Thank you so much for being here, guys, and joining us today. Have a wonderful holiday season ahead of you yourselves. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whichever holidays you guys celebrate. We're going to have a good one. I'll talk to you all soon. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.